All right, welcome to another episode of The American Dream, the only show that goes against the grain of all that negative stuff you see in the media. Unscripted, commercial-free, not owned by any network. Today's theme, honoring our heroes. You're going to love today's show. We've compiled interviews between our co-hosts and myself to create a great show for you. Of course, with every show, our goal, educate, empower, and engage your American dream. Let's start the show right now. Every single day, you are consumed with information. With the 24/7 negative news cycle and a pop culture that's polluting the airwaves, all selling out for the ratings game. Well, guess what? There's a more positive way to look at life. You live in the greatest city in the greatest country on the planet. Every day with our elite network of professionals, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage. And now it's time to fight for your American dream. Now for the word on the American dream. Today's show, we have themed it honoring those who make an impact, and here's why. See, if you look at the mainstream media, how do they make their money, make their ratings? They do it by dividing us on race, gender, socioeconomic class, politics, and look what it's doing to this country. We go the opposite direction. We want to give you a positive, uplifting message, something of substance. Today, we're going to honor those making an impact, those who've served in the military, businesses that are helping to grow our economy, local professionals who are the best in business to give you advice about your American dream. That is our message. We hope you can breathe oxygen into it, not only by watching the show here today, but following us on social media. We feel like we can rob the oxygen out of that negative message, breathe it into this one called The American Dream. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start these awesome interviews and empower yours.
Hey, I'm Jenn Morris, co-host of The American Dream. Are you sick of the negative media? Then join the conversation online.
One of our favorite topics on The American Dream, tech trends. Joining us in studio, one of our favorite guests, Daniel Hindi, the CTO of Buildfire. I just got my iPhone X, man. The world's moving, it's changing.
It is, it is.
The jury's still out on this thing, though.
It is.
Yeah, is that what you're hearing
Absolutely.
too?
Yeah, you see the steam sort of let out a little bit on the iPhone 10. Usually the adoption rate is much higher.
Yeah.
It's just getting there a little bit slower. Apple tends to nudge people where they want them to go.
I think so.
This is the first phone where you see the steam is let out a little bit.
Yeah, I was yelling at Siri this morning. Can I start real quick with a disclaimer?
Sure.
These are first world problems, right?
Absolutely.
These are first world problems. I feel terrible even complaining
That's...
about Siri and my iPhone. But since we're on the topic of tech, I mean, it's a fascinating topic. The world's moving so fast. A lot of cool things are just changing everything. Give us kind of a status quo, where are we at today? And I always like to get a feel from you for where you think this thing is moving over the next 3, 5, 10 years.
Absolutely. We're going to see some trends continue.
Yep.
We're going to see some trends shift and get modified as they learn from the market a little bit. But what we've boiled down 2018 major themes is to 3 major categories.
Okay.
Intelligent, virtual, fabric.
Okay.
If you keep those 3 in mind, you sort of understand where the trends are going. With intelligent, you're going to see intelligent apps, intelligent things, and intelligent security increase.
Example.
So intelligent apps, we've already spoken a lot about in the previous episodes about machine learning and deep learning.
Yep.
You're going to see that move more into the retail realm, where that gets accessible to the average business.
Okay.
Where you're learning a lot more being proactive versus reactive. Intelligent things, we've seen intelligent homes in the sales of the last Black Friday with Alexa and Echo and
Yep.
so on. The intelligent home is becoming a lot more mainstream.
Okay.
And something that people don't talk a lot about is intelligent security, with all the hackers and hackers getting a lot more smart and cunning in their ways. You're going to see that power of artificial intelligence move to the security realm and be a lot more smarter with our intelligence.
Virtual.
Virtual. You and I have spoken a lot about virtual reality and augmented reality, but we're also introducing the trend of digital twin. Now, we've sort of seen digital twin before. You've seen that in homes where you have a virtual representation of the home and the model home and how it looks. We've seen that in vehicles. We've seen that in products. You're going to see that move a little bit more into the utility realm.
You mentioned fabric. What the heck do you mean by fabric?
Fabric is all about everything meshing together as one. So you're going to see your solutions a lot more integrated. You're going to see the power of the hive, and I'll talk about that in just a second, and edge processing. So you're going to see all the solutions that you deal with. I mean, we've seen the move from desktop apps to web apps, and web apps have a mirror image on mobile apps. Well, you're going to see inter-app communication a lot more mainstream. So you're moving from one app to the other without feeling like you moved from one app to the other. So they're going to integrate a lot more tightly as a seamless experience. When you look at the power of the Hive, for example, these smartphones that we have, I run over 80 servers. Some of my servers are not as strong as a mobile app, or a mobile phone, sorry. Because they're very myopic. These phones are getting a lot more stronger, so what you're going to see is the cloud that we know about, a dynamic collection of servers, actually increase in size and make it all the way to the edge, which is your desktop computers, your laptops, and your cell phones, and have distributed computing. The biggest rise of that we've seen is a technology called blockchain. Blockchain is the power behind all the ICOs that you see, Bitcoin and so forth. So that's all about the distributed processing and not a monolithic system that governs it all.
Everything we're talking about, tech advancements are amazing, right? I mean, just amazing what the world has moved to, and you just got to wonder what is it going to be like in 2, 4, 10 years, right? Social media, connectivity. You can talk to someone in Germany, you could talk to someone that you went to high school with, you never thought you'd see again. That realm is cool. There's also the whole fake news, word of the year, by the way. It's polluted. I have to be very limited with how much I get into it because it doesn't make my mood go up usually. It's usually the other way, believe it or not. So what do you think the future of social media is? It's become, Zuckerberg's gone through a lot this year trying to defend it. Do you think it still remains a force? Do you think a new type of medium arises? What are your thoughts?
So I think it'll still be a force. However, the cat's out of the bag. One, people understanding that you are the product. Again, we've mentioned before, if it's free, you are the product.
Right.
And so people are understanding that a lot more. The blatant ads are getting a little bit tiresome for people. And obviously the manipulation to adjust moods and opinions is a big issue nowadays. So you're going to see it continue. However, my prediction is it's going to be a lot more subtle because the way they're doing it right now, it's blatant to everybody.
Let's tick people off.
It's upsetting people because if you go and look up a particular car brand because you're thinking about buying it, and all of a sudden you're bombarded with ads everywhere about that particular brand. If you lean, the problem with and Google's guilty of this as well. You have an echo chamber. If I lean right, all I hear is additional opinions that support mine. If I lean left, all I hear is opinions that support mine. And humans tend to have the trend of agreeing with opinions that I hear that I already agree with because it supports my hypothesis.
Of course. And you see that
discounting
in real media, not just social media.
Absolutely. So that echo chamber is becoming a problem. So it's good to hear the other side. Even if you disagree with it, it's good to hear the other side. And I think people are wanting to do that. I don't have to agree with everything I hear. Give me the variety.
Give me some objectivity, some variety, so I can filter it to come up with my own opinion.
Absolutely. That puts a big responsibility on the media to be, I mean, name the outlet and you can tell right off the bat where they lean, right?
Right, of course.
So things like social media that are supposed to be agnostic, they read off of you with their intelligence, and then if you're left-leaning, everything you see is left-leaning. If you're right-leaning, everything is right-leaning. And the truth of the matter is we just need to be more educated in an unbiased sense in all of our outlets.
Interesting. Daniel, Hindi, man, I love this topic with you. It's exciting where the world is, where it's headed, but there's certainly it's a shaky landscape, right? I mean,
we'll navigate through it.
Yeah, we'll get through it, and like I said, first world problems, right?
Absolutely.
CTO Buildfire. Hope people connect with you. You're building apps for businesses and people. Awesome what you're doing. All right, more of the American Dream coming up next.
Hi, I'm Jenn Morris, co-host of The American Dream. Don't forget, you can always watch more of our content online and follow us along on social media.
All right, continuing with our theme of honoring our heroes, we have one joining us in studio again. He's become a great friend of the show, served in the Marines. Now he's one of the top brokers nationally, certainly helping veterans. Mike Chiesl, good to have you on the show.
It's great to be back.
Always good to have you. And then Kyle Melvin, you're kind of a right hand to what he does with homeownership, helping on the financing. Some of the best benefits exist for our military.
Yep, that's right.
So we'll be diving into that today as well. Today's a little bit of a legacy day, honoring our heroes. You've brought a book. I want you to share the story before we get into all the educating today.
So my personal hero grandfather, Oliver Chiesl. World War II POW, B-17 navigator. If you've seen the movie Memphis Belle or The Great Escape, he and his crew was shot down on their 8th mission over German-occupied France, broke his back falling out of the plane while his parachute deployed, and woke up to German soldiers with rifles in his face. Spent 2 years at a POW camp in France, and he was my hero. He was my hero growing up. Wrote a book about it called Clipped Wings. And what I love about Grandpa Ollie, he shared his experience and he shared his story here, but what I love about him is he never gave up, but he was also one of those guys that used his benefits and used his military benefits to promote legacy within his family. So when it was time for me to go to school, I had a stack of savings bonds, and when he passed on, he left a big piece of property in Champaign-Urbana for my dad that is still in the family today.
No kidding.
It's he's just a hero in many ways. He fought true fascism in the world, and then when it came time for him to come home and take care of his family, he left a legacy for his family, and he used his military benefits to do that.
Right, it starts with education. One of the best in the business nationally. Mike Chiesl.
Love it.
Thanks for sharing that story.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
More of the American Dream coming up next. Well, as you know, the American Dream is a national program where we focus on business, the entrepreneurial spirit, overcoming adversity, finance, the market, all things that are relevant to empowering your American Dream. But a big topic of conversation on this show is housing. So what we do is we integrate local, top-producing, award-winning realtors to cover a wide range of topics on that subject, different micro markets, different niche subject matter. Housing is such a big topic, so we're going to bring you a lot of information right now from some of the best in your market. Let's check out these interviews.
Thanks for having me again. So like we spoke about in our last segment was determining ROI. So just to recap that, that is ARV, your after repair value, minus your purchase price, minus repair cost, closing costs, holding costs, and then that net is your ROI, or return on investment. So this week we're going to dive a little bit deeper into one of those items, which is your repair costs. Repair costs are one of the most important costs associated with this equation, and it is also one of the hardest to determine. So when you're first starting out, you're going to want to bring your contractor out to the property and take a look at the property to give you a bid, but most likely that's not going to be feasible every time. You're probably going to see multiple properties before you actually get into contract on one of them. So the next best thing would be to find yourself a good repair cost estimator. You can find those online. There are a number of them. So make sure that you're looking at the reviews and also making sure that they are area specific. So if they're giving you numbers from Texas, you're flipping in California, that's not the same. If they're giving you costs in Bay Area versus Sacramento, those also aren't in line with one another. So just make sure that you're finding one that is specific to the area you're going to be flipping in. After you have that, you're going to want, getting into contract on the property, you are going to want to have the contractor come back out and give you actual bids on the project. So here are some of my tips for when you're meeting your contractor at the property. Tip number one, ask them to break it down per unit. Most contractors are able to give you a cost per unit for whatever trade that they are performing. So for example, a flooring installer will be priced per square foot. A roofer will be priced per square. A cabinet installer will be priced per cabinet. A general contractor can give you a price per square foot on an addition. Not only is this a great tool for accurately comparing bids from different contractors, but it also is a great tool for you to use in the future for gauging repair costs. So next time you go to your project, you can say, I need 1,000 square feet of laminate installed. I know that my installer charges $1.50 a square foot for install. I typically pay $1.50 for material. So $3 is going to be my total cost per square foot times 1,000 square feet. That would be $3,000. So you can put that number into your budget and know that that's a fairly accurate number. Tip number two, make sure that you are paying attention to whether material costs are included in the bid. So if the material cost is included, make sure it's in line with what your expectations are. If your material cost on laminate is listed at $1 a square foot and you know that you're going to spend $1.50, you're going to want to make that adjustment up front so you don't get a change order later on down the road. If there is no material listed, make sure that you have a separate line item for material, so again, there are no surprise costs in the end. Tip number 3, make sure it's specified who is responsible for pulling a permit for the project. You can pull the permit as an owner, or the contractor can pull a permit. But just know that whoever is the person pulling the permit is going to be the one responsible for the job and potentially liable for the job as well, so keep that in mind. Tip number 4, make sure you ask about time frames. We're usually flipping using hard money, and literally time is money. So make sure that you know that the contractor has time to do your job and how much time it's going to take for them to complete the project. Tip number 5, make sure that you're getting multiple bids on the project, especially in the beginning. And don't always choose the lowest bid. That's not always the best. You're going to want to go for quality. Remember, your reputation as a flipper is on the line. Thanks for listening. This has been Olivia Barrett with Keller Williams Realty with your Sacramento Real Estate Investment Market Update. Happy hunting, Sacramento.
We're diving in now to your local real estate market with Senior Executive Associate of Lyon Real Estate and Masters Club Life member of Sacramento Association of Realtors, Tanya Curry. Tanya, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure, Tanya, and I'm excited to talk to you today about the importance of the buyer's interview. Why is the selection of a realtor so important, and that buyer's interview? Why is that just critical?
Well, Jen, here in Sacramento, it's a really hot seller's market, as I'm sure it is in most places. So more than ever, buyers really need to ensure that they're connected to the right realtor, one that can help educate, empower, and engage with them. It's a very serious transaction when buyers are purchasing the home. And so they'll need to be able to overcome the financial obstacles, the emotional obstacles that are involved in the transaction. And just being well informed really helps the process go a whole lot smoother, which is why I fully believe that the best time a buyer can spend is in the beginning with their agent for the buyer's interview. Because finding the buyer, it kind of takes a little bit of a balancing act of credentials and chemistry between you and the buyers. And real estate is such a local game, and so they're going to need someone that not only lives in the area that they're wanting to buy in, but someone that is aware of the market trends, the local schools, commute times, and all the little red flags that we could help them look for. So that buyer's interview is a time where I like to introduce myself to the client so they get to know who's going to be working for them. Find out a little bit about them and their needs and their criteria. Give them a little bit of information about the company, the areas in which that we'll be looking in as well. Give them a general overview of the entire transaction process so that once we're in flight, they'll know that I'm up in the cockpit and I'm in control. And I usually find that buyers who are well educated in the beginning at the buyer's interview, they are going to be more engaged. They are going to feel more empowered, and they will ultimately be more in control of the transaction as well. It just makes for a real smooth flight until we get to the close of escrow.
Should a buyer officially hire a realtor?
Yes, of course. In fact, during that interview process, along with going over the whole transaction process, I also present them with my exclusive buyer's broker agreement. That's a form where a buyer can officially hire a realtor, become committed to their realtor as their realtor is going to commit to them. Because buyers, I've got good news for you. The one thing that you won't see on your net sheet is the realtor commission, because buyers are not responsible for having to pay a commission when they use the realtor that they hire.
Yay.
Yes.
That's the best part about that information. What is important for a buyer to look for in a realtor?
Well, when you're looking for a realtor, you want to look for someone that check the licenses, make sure they're experienced, look for 5+ more years in the industry. What does their transaction history look like? What are their current sales and their current listings like? Do they have the right credentials? Are they an agent or are they a real realtor? Look for those credentials, because those are ultimately signs where the buyer will automatically have some of that transferred respect of that realtor when it comes to writing their offers and presenting them to other agents and their clients as well.
Yes, because they are the professional and they know what they're doing. And you certainly are one of those professionals. I know that you are one of the best in the business. Thank you so much for being on the show. This was great information that you had to share with us today, Tanya.
Thank you, Jen.
And we, of course, encourage our viewers to reach out to Tanya Curry if they have any questions or they're looking to list their property or they're looking to buy a home in the Sacramento market. And if you have any other questions for us, reach out to us online, AmericanDreamNetwork.tv. We'll be right back with more of The American Dream. My next guest is a top producer and all-around real estate rock star. I want to welcome back onto the show Amanda Todd, CEO and founder of the Amanda Todd Group. Amanda, it's so great to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
So what I want to talk to you about today, Amanda, is how our agents can utilize technology so that we get the most bang for our buck, and how do we go about choosing the right agent, especially one that we know is going to utilize all types of media platforms?
Definitely. Well, it's really important anymore for agents to utilize social media platforms especially, because it's really important to grab those buyers who may be on the fence and aren't really sure that they're ready to commit to a specific real estate agent or commit to the home searching process, but they're scrolling through their Instagram or their Facebook newsfeed and there's a property that pops up that they fall in love with and they say, I have to make that my home. I'm ready to go.
Sure. How much does photography impact the interest on social media?
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world, because 97% of home buyers are looking at properties online before they ever even step foot into the property. And so they have to be in love with the property before they ever even get there. The pictures need to be absolutely turnkey, ready to go. Cleared off counters, everything put away, just a really nice grab for that buyer, or like I said, that buyer who may be even thinking about buying, but if they fall in love with those pictures right away, they have to make that house theirs.
Is that what you and your team focus on? Because I know that you're really masters in strategizing your marketing of the different properties that you have.
Oh, it is so important, because we give people just enough that they can fall in love with the property, but then we don't give them a lot of details about the property without giving us their information so that we can follow up with them. Because that's the importance of that marketing approach, is being able to really truly engage with a potential buyer. So we have a specific number of photos that we post online. We always post pictures of the kitchen, the yard, the master bedroom, because those are the key features that people really want to see and fall in love with. And then we engage with them later to really gauge their interest on purchasing a property.
Now, I want to talk to you about that first impression. What do you think the importance is of curb appeal when you're taking those photographs? I mean, do people really make a judgment within a few seconds?
Absolutely. It's absolutely critical that somebody be in love with your home before they ever even make an appointment to go see it, because guess what? You're going to miss probably 90% of potential buyers if they don't fall in love with your home from the pictures.
What makes you and your team different, Amanda? You are such a heavy hitter in the real estate market. What is it that you do differently or above the rest that is the reason you are a top producer?
One of the things that I really feel like we do differently is we like to look at the home buying approach from the buyer standpoint. We all have been through it and know what it takes, and know, honestly, there can be some bumps in the road, and it's not an easy thing to purchase a home. And so it's important to us to look at that transaction through the lens of what a buyer goes through or a seller goes through, and try to circumvent as many of those difficulties or just kind of trying things that it can take. I mean, there's a lot of documentation you have to provide. You kind of feel like your privacy is being invaded, whether you're a buyer or a seller, because you basically have to turn your entire life over to someone. So we make it a point to really handle that with as much care as we possibly can in how we would want it to be handled for ourselves.
So what questions should a potential buyer or seller ask a potential agent?
It's really important to find out how an agent is utilizing technology to either market or help to the advantage of the potential buyer in finding properties that are either new on the market or not even on the market yet. One of the things that our team offers to sellers is when we walk in to meet with a seller, I can provide them an actual number of buyers who are actively searching in our database for homes that match the criteria of their home that I'm about to list for sale for them.
Wow, so you already have those prospective buyers already lined up.
We do. We do. Inventory is so low. And so one of the most painful things to a seller is, how long is it going to take to sell my house? Or is it going to sit on the market for a long time? And so if we can come to them and show them that we already have a very active database of clients who are searching for a home like theirs, that eases the pain of that process a lot more.
Absolutely. Well, see, this is why you are one of the best in the business, Amanda Todd. We always love having you on The American Dream.
Thanks for having me.
And if you have any other questions, reach out to us online, AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, and we'll be right back with more of the show.
You just heard from award-winning realtors about your marketplace. It's one thing to find your dream home. It's another thing to finance it. I've traveled the country to find the best mortgage experts in every city. You're going to hear from yours in a Mortgage Minute right now. Let's check it out.
Hello, Phil Rasmussen here with Synergy One Lending. Today I wanted to talk about what happens after a credit event. If you had a short sale, if you had a foreclosure, if you had a bankruptcy, it's not the end of the world. You can get back into the home buying market. Here are a few of the options that you can consider and the time frames that you might need to wait. Depending on the type of loan product, government, conventional, or jumbo financing, if you have a bankruptcy, you're looking at a 2 to 4 year waiting period. A short sale, also a 2 to 4 year waiting period. And a foreclosure, which is a little longer, is a 3 to 7 year waiting period to be eligible for those financing options. The great news is there's alternate loan products out there now that allow you to get back on the road to home ownership with new alternate financing needs, so you can get back into that home and back on the course to home ownership. We here at Synergy One specialize in those types of loan products, so please feel free to give us a call if you're in one of those situations. We'd love to help you out. Phil Rasmussen with Synergy One Lending. Have a great day.
Well, that's all for today's show of The American Dream, a national show all across the country going against the grain of that negative media. The show continues to go on. By on, I mean online. If you want to engage in the conversation, find us online. You can go to AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, hit up our social media links. We'd love to hear from you. That's all for today's show. Cheers to your American Dream, and we'll see you next time.